Is obesity contagious? A social contagion is a process where the network in which people are embedded influence their behaviors. The idea of obesity being socially contagious is not new. The idea, though, is this. If you live around people who have healthy behaviors, you might be influenced to have healthy behaviors yourself. However, if you live around people with unhealthy behaviors, you might follow suit, thus increasing your risk of obesity. It has been shown, for example, that between mutual friends, one's risk of obesity increased by 171% if that friend became obese. So, obesity is not contagious in the communicable sense. Rather, obesity may spread in social networks in a quantifiable and discernible pattern that depends on the nature of those social ties. This is how the research explains it.
This animation is a dynamic graphic representation of a portion of the Framingham Heart Study social network. Each circle or node represents one person in the dataset. Nodes with red borders are women, and nodes with blue borders are men. The size of each node is proportional to each person's body mass index, or BMI, which is the weight in kilograms divided by the square of the height in meters. A yellow node represents an obese person with a BMI greater than 30, and a green node represents a non-obese person. A line between two nodes represents a social connection between two people. Purple lines connecting nodes denote close genetic ties, for example, parents, children, and siblings. Gray lines denote non-genetic relations, such as friends and spouses. Obesity is a multicentric epidemic, with many people influencing one another and forming ties in complex ways. The network gets more compact and dense as more ties appear, and the entire network gets heavier over time. Quantitative analyses demonstrate a tendency for obese people and non-obese people to form clusters within the network, so that by the end of the study, this clustering can be discerned, as in the densely interconnected clusters of obese persons here, and the non-obese persons here. The prevalence of obesity appears lower at the periphery of the network as compared with the center.
So it's our close social network that can influence our behaviors that subsequently increase our risk of obesity. However, the recent study behind the headlines found that military families assigned to installations in counties with higher obesity rates were more likely to become overweight or obese than their counterparts who were assigned to installations in counties with lower obesity rates. Interestingly, this effect of social influence on our behavior occurred no matter what type of built environment they lived in. Even if they lived in a town where the health food stores and gyms were on every corner, if all my friends and families eat unhealthily, then I might follow suit because social distance appears to be more important than geographic distance. Okay, but how much more likely are they to gain weight if they move to a county with higher obesity rates? For those interested, I will try to make this next part as painless as possible. In short, the likelihood of an effect of a county's obesity rate on someone's body weight was indicated by this number right here, 0.08. It's called a beta weight and tells us that, look, independent of the environmental characteristics of that county, an increase in the county obesity rate predicts an increase in the adult's body weight. So based on this information, they found that for every one standard deviation increase in county obesity rate, about 4.2 BMI units, there was a 0.08 standard deviation change, about 0.36 BMI units in parent BMI.
Huh?
Think of it this way. If a 5'5", 150-pound person with a BMI of 25 moved from a county that the average BMI was 25 or overweight to a county where the BMI was 29.2, so more overweight, almost obese, their weight would increase around 2 pounds to 152 pounds, maintaining a BMI of 25, to be exact, 25.36. Thus, the effect is very small, so only slightly contagious. And actually, I'm calling this one clarified because technically obesity is not contagious. However, the people around us, those closest, like our family and friends, can influence our behaviors, thus increasing our risk of overweight or obesity, or increasing the opportunity to live a healthy lifestyle.
Huh?